Kate Flick is here today, or Miss Flick, if you ever had her as a teacher, which I did not, but I seen you in the hallways when I went to the school you taught at back in the day. How you doing, Kate?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Matt. And
Thanks
yes,
so much for
I do
coming
remember
on.
you. I remember seeing your face in the hallways, but I did not have the pleasure of teaching you.
Would you do you see that often? Like, I mean, there's so many kids that come through high school. I imagine you see kids that are like vaguely familiar all the time, or
Yeah,
people, I guess.
I see. If I'm out and about, I see so many. Like I used to be so good at like never forgetting a name, and I'm really good with not forgetting faces, but it's getting to the point where I've been teaching for so long that it's just like I see so many people that look familiar to me, and I just am becoming bad with names. I think my brain has reached its capacity of remembering names.
Names,
So yeah,
right?
but
Isn't
yeah,
there like that number of certain amount of names you can keep in your brain,
I
like
think
300 or something?
I think I really think there is, because usually typically teachers would have 200 students at the high school level a year, because 100 first semester, probably 100 second semester. So that's like a lot. That's a lot of names.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's crazy. I worked in an after school program and there's only like 30 kids, and half the time I'd be like just stalling on some of their names, even though I've been there for a while. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I know
that's
that's
funny.
me now. I never thought I'd be that person, but I hate it because I don't know. It makes students, they see you after the fact and they are excited, maybe excited, or they're like, "Oh, do you remember me?" I'm like, "Oh, I totally remember you." And then I'm hoping that they just don't ask me, "Well, then what's my name?" If they ask me that, then I'm in trouble.
Say the wrong name on purpose.
Yeah.
So you reached out and I appreciate that. You wanted to come on. And you told me a little bit about your story, some of the stuff you've been through, and kind of leading into what you're doing now in the mental health space. And I think it's all very cool. And I just want to say thanks again for reaching out. And you can jump right into it, whatever you'd like.
Okay. Well, if I it's hard to know where to start, but I guess I would say that I don't feel like growing up I was a child that was like very anxious. Like it wasn't, maybe I was, but it's not something that was talked about when, I was growing up in school as much as it is now. But for me, anxiety kind of started to rear its ugly head after the birth of my first daughter. And I think I definitely had some postpartum anxiety, like maybe postpartum anxiety disorder that was never diagnosed. But I just remember being so anxious. Like I remember driving home from the hospital. I was in the back seat, my husband was driving, and I remember like putting my arms around the car seat, like feel like trying to protect my newborn baby as we're driving. Like I just was so anxious that something was going to happen on that drive home from the hospital. And
Right.
in hindsight, that's kind of that's a bit abnormal, I think. But that anxious feeling kind of seeped into the early years of being a mother. um,
Right.
and and then just moving forward the next few years, it's like I think a lot of moms or dads, like new parents, can maybe relate. There's just like you're not sleeping, there's so much going on, and when you go back to work, you're trying to like work full time, take care of children, like do all these things, be kind of be so like, I don't know, just be kind of perfect at everything. That's what I was trying to do. And I just started noticing my anxiety levels kind of creeping up. And I remember just being like, I remember when my second daughter was born, I remember like not sleeping much, getting up, going to school, teaching all day, coming home, and then basically starting schoolwork like soon after I got home, and then working till 1 or 2 in the morning every night because I was teaching new courses. So I'd be like doing new PowerPoints every single night. Then I'd like stay up till
Oh my
2.
gosh.
Yeah, get up in the morning, do it all again. It was like Groundhog Day. And I didn't realize that like, it was creating this environment I was just so anxious all the time. And I was drinking lots
Right.
of caffeine to get me through and not realizing the impact it was having on my anxiety levels. Anyway, it was just almost like I was on this hamster wheel that I couldn't get off of. And I was just so anxious all the time. But I wasn't doing anything. Like I didn't have any coping tools really. I
So
was
how did
feeling
that, sorry to cut you off, how
no,
did that
no, go.
manifest itself? Like when you say you're anxious all the time, like what sort of, what did that look like for you?
For me, that was looking like I was getting a lot of chest pains. I was just feeling, I could just feel it in my body. I actually had a lot of physical symptoms to the point where I'd have like almost these, like I'd have a lot of buzzing feelings in my body, like tingling in my extremities. I'd have almost like to the point where I can't explain it. Almost felt like one of my legs was like a wooden leg. Like it sounds so weird, but it's like I had these very strange physical symptoms that were, I don't know, that I've kind of done some research in like the last few years, and I guess it's the anxiety manifesting itself physically. Um,
Right.
I was probably, my husband would probably say I was irritable. I don't know. I would guess, but I just was like, and I wasn't able to cope with a lot of situations. Um, so yeah, it wasn't very enjoyable.
So you were like, just like you said, like on the hamster wheel all the time. So it was just like a constant go, 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 go,
Yeah,
never really slowing down at all for anything.
never like not a lot of self-care. I've always been very much into physical fitness. Like I'm been an athlete my whole life, and I did make time for physical fitness, which I'm sure saved me like to some extent, but there was no mindfulness. There was no, like, my sleep hygiene was horrible. There's just a lot of things that were I was not helping that were not helpful to my situation. But yeah, I felt really trapped in my life, to be honest. And I felt really helpless a lot of the time. And I just had no coping tools. And now that I have so many coping tools, yeah, I'm very passionate about sharing that knowledge with others. Um, but what happened was what took my anxiety to a whole other level was when I guess it's coming up on my 6 year anniversary. I guess I was diagnosed with melanoma, which is the most deadly form of skin cancer. And I actually, didn't know a lot about melanoma until the year prior, when a friend of mine actually had been diagnosed with melanoma, and hers was metastatic melanoma, and she actually unfortunately passed away. And so
Wow. Sorry to
then,
hear that.
yeah, thank you. And this is a strange story, but I was at her funeral and I got this almost sign that I needed to go and get this mole checked out on my leg. And um, I went from her funeral, I went home and called my doctor, and then nobody was worried about it. Anyway, fast forward, it took almost a year for it to be taken off, and it turns out it was melanoma, which is crazy. And
Wow.
anyway, yeah, that was pretty crazy. I felt like it was a sign from her, like kind of I see her as my guardian angel now. Um, but yeah, with the melanoma, it just basically took all the anxiety that I was dealing with for the last like number of years, and it just took it to a level like I just couldn't cope. Like it pretty much destroyed me. Um, I had to have like a surgery, and like a pretty extensive surgery that like operated on three parts of my body, but I had to have like a wide excision on my lower left leg, and I had to have a skin graft, and there was like 100 staples. It was pretty gross. It's actually healed pretty good, but it was pretty gross. And I had to have lymph nodes
Right.
removed. And what happened was I had to wait after I had my surgery. I had to wait 10 days to get the results of my lymph node biopsy. And my lymph node biopsy, if it came back that the cancer was in my lymph nodes, then it wouldn't have been a very good prognosis, because at that time they couldn't treat melanoma. Was just treated through surgery. It doesn't respond to chemo or radiation. So it was,
Okay.
yeah. So I just remember my husband took a week off work to look after me. Then he had to go back to work, and then he had to take me to my parents' house because I couldn't really walk or do anything. And I just remember sitting in a recliner at my parents' house, like, and just all day being literally consumed with anxiety. Like, couldn't, all I did was think about like what was going to happen with those test results, and if I was going to see my kids grow up, like all these terrible thoughts. And I was just like
Right.
literally consumed with anxiety. And my mom, who's like dealt with a lot of chronic illness her whole life, has many coping tools. Had tried to tell me some of them, and I was not really open to it until this. Like this was like my rock bottom. And
Right.
she said, I think you need to try tapping. And I always was like, tapping, that's, what is that? That's so out there, that's woo woo, I don't want to try. Like I wasn't very open minded at the time, and now I'm very 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 open minded. Anyway, I just remember her taking me into the bedroom. I laid down on the bed beside my mom, and she took me through. And if anybody doesn't know what tapping is, it's called EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. And what it is it takes from traditional Chinese medicine. Um, it takes the aspects of acupressure, which is like acupuncture, where you're accessing your energetic meridians in your body, by putting pressure on these energy meridians with your fingers, not with needles. It's acupressure. And then combining that with almost cognitive behavioral therapy, it combines the two, and it can help really, it can lower your cortisol levels, your stress hormone in your body. Actually, there's research, I'm very passionate about tapping. There's research from Harvard that showed that like an hour of tapping versus an hour of talk therapy, they did a cell, they did uh, a test that measures the cortisol in your saliva, and it reduced, I think on average 24% in people, and up to like 44% I think in some individuals, whereas the talk therapy didn't reduce the cortisol at all in people's
Okay.
saliva. So it just is pretty. And I mean, talk therapy is wonderful. And I think that's a great tool to have in your toolkit. But I thought it was just so cool that this EFT tapping could actually lower the cortisol in your body. Like, how cool is that?
I think it's really cool, and I think it's probably like a physical release, whereas like the talk therapy is more of like a long term, like slowly figuring out like your mental health.
That's totally, yeah. Like talk therapy has so many benefits, but it's something that you need to do probably. You won't see the results right away, but it's like gradual, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I really enjoy the tapping because you can notice a difference right away. And I just remember laying on that bed with my mom. She took me through some rounds of tapping, and it was like I felt a difference in my body, and I felt relief. And it was like the first time, well, since I'd probably been diagnosed with cancer, that I felt that relief. And it was just
Right.
like unbelievable, really.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it happened to be Nick Ortner. If anybody's interested in tapping, I love Nick Ortner. He has this tapping summit. It's free. I think it's in February actually, every year, and it happened to be going on. It's a whole week, and so every day I get dropped off at my parents' house, and I do all these new tapping meditations were released every day, so we did them, and it just made so much difference in my mental health. Um, in that time waiting for my test results, and I mean, I did find out, spoiler alert, I'm cancer free. And I found out that, there's no cancer in my lymph nodes. So it was amazing. But through this experience, it just opened my eyes to all the different modalities and coping techniques out there. And I just became so passionate about um, personal development, like bettering my mental health, and like sharing that with other people, because it's so important.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. I think it's so cool too, like sometimes how when we go through like oftentimes when you go through something like that adversity or just like a life event that seems very negative at the time and how it can often lead to something like a new perspective that um you never would have realized on without that.
Oh yeah, totally. Like cancer is my greatest teacher. It's honestly the best thing that it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know that sounds like, I don't know, I'm sure other, like maybe cliche, but it's like, so if anybody who's had cancer, and if you're lucky enough to be cancer free, I think a lot of people would tell you that, that it's just taught me so much, and it put me on a different path and a healthier path, and it made me deal with my mental health issues that I was kind of stuffing down. maybe dealing with my anxiety in healthy ways. And it forced me to take a look at myself in the mirror and make some positive changes.
Right. So so you get the news that you're cancer free, and where do you go from there?
Well, most people would think, oh, you're cancer free and then everything is happy and your life is awesome. To be honest, I think, and this is something I'd also be interested in doing in the future, is providing support to cancers post like their cancer free. I don't know, the news that they're cancer free, because you think it's like this awesome time, but there's so much to process. Like I had so many doctor's appointments to go to. And then I had this new anxiety of like, every little thing that I noticed in my body, I would like, and then I was noticing all these new moles that seemed to be coming out of nowhere. And it's just like, I had to go get all these extra checkups. And there's a lot of anxiety post cancer. Even if you don't have the cancer in your body, you're just afraid of it coming back. And
Yeah.
so I went
Yeah,
through,
yeah, I imagine.
yeah, it
There'd
was,
always be that constant fear in the back of your head, like, "I had it once, maybe I could have it again."
yeah, totally. And then you go down the rabbit hole sometimes of like, I don't know, just like researching things too much. And anyway, I started have these issues with my leg that I had surgery on, and I was being looked at for lymphedema, which is if you've had lymph nodes removed, this lymphedema can happen that it impairs your lymphatic system and it can cause swelling and pain. And so I was noticing pain and swelling in my leg, and I almost became like obsessed with like healing my leg. So I did all the conventional medicine routes. Like I was going to the hospital to see a specialist, a lymphedema specialist, all these things, and nothing was helping my leg. So I started to try some alternative modalities. And it's funny, I was on this quest to heal my leg, but in the process, I realized, oh my gosh, like healing is not just physical. Like I think anybody with anxiety, you need to like, there's just so much healing that needs to be done, like emotionally and healing
Yeah.
things from our past. And I remember I went to a Reiki appointment. I don't know if you're familiar with Reiki.
Yep,
Are you?
yep, yeah, I am, yeah.
And
Maybe we could explain it for I mean, you could explain it, I don't know very well,
yeah,
but
Reiki is a Japanese healing modality that is accessing your energy meridians, kind of like the tapping in some ways, but um, it's basically can be used to kind of realign, get yourself realigned, to kind of clear your energy. And like I went to my first Reiki appointment. Um, my Reiki master, her name is Nancy Monahan. She's in Prince Edward Island, and she is unbelievable. She literally changed my life. And anyway, I went to my appointment not knowing what I was doing it for my leg and not realizing the impact it would have on my mental health. Like that was a game changer for my mental health, is having Reiki done. I can't even explain it, but it's so healing. And to the point where now I went over the quarantine, I got certified, and now I'm a level 2 practitioner. And I hope in the next couple of years to become a Reiki master. But it's just such a powerful, if anybody's suffering from anxiety or stress or depression, it's just, I highly recommend checking out Reiki. It's so healing.
could you explain a little bit of how, like, it goes, like, when you go in for an
Oh,
appointment?
so if you go in, like it can be done long distance. And I mean, since I was certified, um, I like will do Reiki for my friends, like long distance. Like you can connect because it's all through energy. It's an energetic modality. So I will send Reiki to my friends. I'm not doing my own services. Like right now, I'm just working on some other things, but I plan to. I don't know. In the future, I would like to be doing Reiki appointments. But when I go to Nancy, who I haven't been to since quarantine, but you go in, you lay down almost kind of like on a massage table, and it's every Reiki practitioner is probably different, but it's like it can be either hands on. It would be very gentle, where there's different positions in Reiki on the body where you're clearing the energy, or it can be hands off where your hands are hovering above the person. But it's very hard to explain, but afterwards you feel like you've had such an amazing massage, but it's not like you just feel just balanced, calm, relaxed. Like it's just the most relaxing thing, but it's literally just very gentle hands on, or you can request it to be hands off if you want. But it's channeling this kind of life force energy being channeled, and to help balance kind of your rebalance your chakras, to help you get aligned. And it's honestly, I wasn't the type of person, like it's weird because I'm into all this stuff now. And if you would have talked to me like 5 years ago, I'd be like, what is all this? Like this stuff is crazy. But now it's changed my life so much and it's opened me up that it's
Right.
just, I'm so passionate about it.
Right. Yeah, no, that's funny. Yeah, it's funny how yeah, how that happens like over time, like how your mind opens to things when it helps you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I never would have thought, if you'd have told me some of the stuff I'm doing now, like 5 years ago, I would have said, you're crazy. But if it works and it helps you, I want to help other people. So yeah. Um, but yeah, after I went back to work, I was just, yeah, still feeling anxiety. I was worried about my leg. So I started embarking on this journey of like trying all these modalities. I've always been really into health and wellness, but I decided I want to take it to another level. So decided to go part-time at work 3 years ago. And I became certified to be a holistic health coach. And I got my training at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So I'm a health coach now.
Very cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that program. And yeah, so now I teach in the mornings, and now I'm running a health coaching business in the afternoons. And
So what's that like as
I
far
have
as health coaching, like for you? Like what is that like if someone goes to you for your
um,
services?
well, I actually haven't opened up to one-on-one. It's strange. I launched a program, which is just finishing up, but I haven't opened to one-on-one clients, which is probably a little bit, maybe I'm doing it in reverse. I just wanted to help as many people as I could. Um, but I'm thinking of opening to one-on-one clients. I just haven't fully made that decision. But if I was taking one-on-one clients, it would be, um, it really depends. It can be very tailored to what you're looking for. We would be doing kind of a survey on your whole life and looking at all aspects of your life and seeing what's out of balance. And then we would be making some goals to help improve the different, the areas of your life that seem to be out of balance. And we would work each week, or perhaps every second week, to, like, it'd be a place for a person to talk about their challenges, and also I would be giving guidance in the different areas. For group coaching, I just had a program called Chaos to Calm, and it was a group coaching container that I led, and we explored. It's basically everything I learned to get my anxiety under control is like what I taught in this group. And we did EFT tapping, we did meditation, breath work, which I'm very passionate about. And the meditation and breath work, I'm going to be certified to be a breathwork and meditation teacher next month.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I can't wait. I'm very excited because I do the meditation and breath work with my students every day, and it's made positive impacts on them. They've given me such great feedback, and I just want to keep sharing that with as many people as possible. And we talk about nutrition, sleep hygiene, which is huge. Um, all, like, so many aspects of like self-care, boundaries. These are all different coaching calls that I've done with my group. And I am planning on running another group probably in the next month or two. I'm not positive on a start date, but I am planning on relaunching that program again.
That's very cool. Very, very cool. And we were talking before the podcast. I was telling you how I'm a personal trainer, so there's a little bit of overlap of things that I would help my clients with as well. Um, but I think that really you're touching on like I think a huge gap in like the health of the average person today. And I
Totally.
think like there's a big gap like where, like with nutrition and boundaries and mindfulness and relationships and anxiety and depression and how to deal with it, and these mental health tools. And I just think it's really cool what you're doing, because it's so common that people don't have the tools or even the understanding. Like life can be so confusing, like kind of how you mentioned, where there's so much going on. You're on a hamster wheel, and so many people are
Mhm.
on a hamster wheel. They're just going and going and going and going and going, and they're not even thinking about what's actually going on and how they might be able to address it.
Exactly. And that's how I felt. I just felt really helpless. So I tried to create a program that I would have benefited from, or that I needed, like however many years ago, like 12 years ago, or even like 6 years ago, I would have benefited from this program. But and I've spent the last number of years just like I'm a teacher because I'm a lifelong learner. Like I literally love to learn. That's all. Like I just want to read all the books. I want to do all the research. I don't know what it is. I love learning. So I spend all my time researching all of these things because I'm just passionate about it, and I really just want to share it with other people because I want them to feel how good I feel now, because there was a time where I didn't feel like this, and I think back to that version of myself, and I just want to help her. And so that kind of just drives me to want I just want to spread the word.
That's beautiful. Is that something that you've ever brought up or worked on people with, is learning or becoming like a lifelong learner?
No, you mean in my coaching group?
Yeah.
No, that's a good just like, yeah, I never no, that's not anything I've touched on, but that's a good idea. Gotta
Um,
write this down.
yeah, yeah. David Rahman, he's an author from the UK, was on the show a couple weeks ago, and he just is coming out with a new book. I definitely recommend it. It's called Let It Go. And he sent me the first couple chapters, and I read them. And one topic on there, it was very interesting. And I think about this a lot, is the importance of learning new things and being like a sponge, constantly learning. And how we often think of, it's funny, like we often think of our childhood as like the best time in our lives, right? But that's also the best, the time we learn the most. When is anything more new than when you're a child? Everything's new, everything's magic. And like, we've all had those shitty jobs, but the first 2 weeks are awesome because you're learning. You're all excited because you're
Mhm.
learning new things about it. And vacations, we also think like vacations are like the best times, but it's also like you're learning new things, you're in a new culture, you're learning new language. And it just was really fascinating to me that and it plays into like personal development and learning all these things about your own mental health and learning about yourself. But it's like, just, I think that's super important for people.
I love that. I actually never thought about that before. Um, that is such a cool perspective. Yeah, it is really important. And it's like exciting. I don't know. I just find learning so exciting and bettering myself to be the best version of myself. Like that's just what I strive for every day, to learn something new so I can be better in some way. And I don't know. I love that perspective though. I hadn't really thought about it that way, how it ties into your mental health.
I haven't really thought about it much either until I read it, and I've heard like snippets of people kind of talking about it before, but it just makes like so much sense to me put in that way. And like it's just so true, and I think it plays into kind of um like where like mental health today, because I don't know, like I just think if you're not learning, you become stagnant, and I think from a stagnant place, that's when things start to go awry, usually.
Totally. I totally agree. And like when you were talking about your childhood, or how your childhood and you're learning new things, it made me think of a big part of my healing journey has been um, just kind of becoming aware of my subconscious patterns. And like, I don't know if listeners, how much they're aware of like, just like that our subconscious programming, those first 7 years of our lives are like, we are a sponge, even if we're not like, everything that's happening around us, we're downloading into our subconscious for those first 7 years. And then that subconscious patterning is affecting the rest of our lives. Like the way I'm showing up today, and a lot of us are on autopilot, and it's these subconscious beliefs and patterns that are manifesting themselves in our adult lives. And so a lot of my healing and research has been about becoming more conscious, becoming more aware, and just
Yes.
becoming aware of, and that's what mindfulness has brought me, because I'm very much into meditation, but just being aware of my triggers, being aware of my emotions, like why did I react in this way in this situation, and just bringing consciousness to my everyday life, because many people don't realize that they're literally operating from like from all of these things that happen to them in the first 7 years of their lives. And for some people, even if you had a great childhood, there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs, etc., that
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
yeah, that are keeping you stuck and keeping you, you know yeah, just keeping you somewhere where you don't want to be. So and they can be tied to your mental health and your anxiety, if especially if you had trauma. And you know what, I personally believe we all have had childhood trauma. It doesn't have to be this huge childhood trauma. I feel like we all have little traumas, and we have to it's working through those as adults and processing those, becoming consciously aware, and that leads to
Yeah.
your healing. But
Yeah.
anyway.
No, I 100% agree with that, and that's actually interesting. Like, that's something that, David talks about in the book too, is, like, I think it's 95% of the brain is subconscious,
Yeah,
and
isn't
then
that it
5%
is.
conscious. Yeah.
It is. It's crazy. It's like, so we're on autopilot all day long.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's why, to get our power back, that's why we need these techniques like breath work and meditation, is that those are the times when you're actually in the present moment, and you're consciously aware of these things. And that's why I love breath work. And I'm so excited to get certified. I do different breathwork techniques with my students, and for myself, but I'm excited to like bring it to a whole other level, because your breath is it's unconscious, it's involuntary, but by bringing awareness to something that's unconscious and making it conscious, taking control of your breath can actually like help you take control of your life. I know that sounds out there and crazy, but it's like breathwork is so powerful, so powerful.
Yes. No, 100, I agree 100%. I mean, I haven't, delved into it yet as much as you by far, but it's very, very important. It's been very beneficial to me, and, yeah, like, I love what you're saying about, like, just becoming aware and becoming conscious, and then that's kinda like what I was saying about being stagnant. It's like we're all just so, like, I think now in today's society as well, with, like, technology and the way things are set up, you can just become so, like, automated and not aware, and it's like, 5 years go by and you're just doing the same thing?
So true. We get just like you said, yeah, you're on the hamster wheel. You're still scrolling, you're still doing the same things, and it's like, oh, like you're just on autopilot. And it's like how it's getting yourself out of that, getting off the hamster wheel. And I do believe that it's becoming conscious, and just starting small, but like with some incorporating some form of mindfulness into your everyday life, and just becoming more conscious, it can change your life. It literally changed mine. Like I'm a whole different person than I was 6 years ago. Like I don't recognize myself in some ways. And and it's because of conscious awareness and mindfulness. And anyway, I'm very grateful.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful, and I think, like, it's never too late either.
No, it's definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah.
You can do it at any age. Yeah, I'm 41. I forget how old I am. But yeah, I wish I had discovered this earlier. And that's why I'm passionate about teaching my students all of these coping techniques, because, you know, I'm sure some people are like, you meditate every day, isn't that wasting time in the curriculum? I don't care what anybody says. That is so important for my students. And and it's just creating that habit. We just meditate for like 3 to 5 minutes every day, but it's teaching them that conscious awareness, and just focusing on their breath. And and I know it's making a positive impact. They've told me. And I mean, not for everyone, I'm sure. And I know some people have a lot of resistance and it's hard for them, And
You're
I
right.
get that.
Yeah.
But and if anybody's starting out, if you try it and you resist it, believe me, I am like I used to be the teacher who ran around the hallways like a crazy person. I was rushing all the time. And I am a very like kinesthetic person. I don't like to be sitting still.
I remember
Um,
seeing you in
yeah,
high school with like you had like a cart
I
and
knew
there
you
was
were
like
gonna say
a
that.
shitload of stuff on the cart. Every time between classes, you're just like
Motor
going.
with heels, running with cart. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've hit students before. I swear to God. Um, sorry about that. No, not purposely. No, I was that crazy cart lady. I knew you were going to bring up the cart. That's how people knew me. It's a crazy cart lady. I mean, I still have a cart, but and yeah, I probably am still crazy, but I'm not. I'm not super anxious at least. Um, but why did I even bring that up? I don't even know why I brought that up
Oh,
about
you were
running with.
saying that you are super energetic and you were resistant at first
Oh
to
yeah,
meditation.
yeah. And so I am not the type of, I'm not a Zen person. Like I'm not this quiet, calm person at all. Like
Right.
I think I have ADD. Like I'm just very highly distracted. And I had a lot of resistance starting a mindfulness and meditation practice, so much resistance. But then I started very small, set my timer for 3 minutes a day. And it's just like, it's overcoming. Your brain is going to show like going to tell you not to do it. You're going to have
Yeah.
resistance, and it's
Yeah.
overcoming that resistance that builds resilience. And
Yes.
if you struggle with mental health, resilience is so important because that like you need to be resilient, and you need to, if you have anxiety, you can't just run away from your problems all the time. Like
Yeah.
that's not a good coping strategy. We need to build resilience in people who have
Hmm.
any mental health issues. So me showing up for myself every day, and then
Yeah.
I could gradually increase my meditation practice, but it was a game changer. And like that's it. Everybody has to start small. Like
Yeah.
you start small. Don't try to meditate for half an hour. Don't try to do all these. You're gonna probably abandon that routine. I'm sorry to say. Start really small, and then incrementally you can, if you wish, add some more time. But just don't be over ambitious with it, or
Yeah.
just like you would know with people who have all these fitness goals and the New Year's resolutions, people go want to go all out, and then they burn out and they kind
They're
of.
gone by February.
Right. And
Yeah. No,
so
I talk about that a lot. That's exactly. And I discuss that with my clients. It's the exact same thing what you're saying. That it doesn't matter if it's like nutrition or exercise or mindfulness or anything in life, whether you're starting a new skill or it could be like career, like you have to just do small digestible steps
totally, that's
and
huge.
then do it over time. You're always playing the long game and not the short game, right? You're not going to lose 20 pounds this week, but you might lose 30 pounds this year. So let's just
Exactly.
take it one day at a time.
It's so true. And that's what worked for me. And I find that that's what I'm trying to do with my students, is just do those. And I hope that, my semester is coming to an end next week. I can't believe it. It went by so fast. I will miss my family life students so much, but I'm hoping that they will carry this habit into the second semester. I'm hoping a lot of them will, but we will see. But it's just introducing people to mindfulness is just, I think, so important in this hectic, crazy world.
Yeah, 100%. I really like what you said too about like just resilience and like taking the time for yourself. And it's a topic that comes up here, like filling up your glass first before you can't pour from an empty glass. But I really like
Totally.
the saying, like discipline equals freedom. So
I
again,
love
like
that.
even if it's a small action, like it doesn't matter, like that's your baseline, right? And you just do that every day for yourself, and it's amazing where it can go
I
if you're
love that.
resilient with it.
I love that. I never heard discipline. Did you say discipline equals freedom or is
Yeah.
freedom? Yeah, I love that. That is so true. And that's how, yeah, I'm very much about routines, and my morning routine and my night routine. And it's discipline, but it gives me so much in return.
Hmm.
So I love that.
Right. And sometimes I think it's just starting small too. Like uh like as far as like not even working towards maybe the goal, maybe just start with like it all starts with what time, like waking up at a certain time, like make your bed, brush your teeth, like putting that stuff on the list first, and then go towards like take care of the small stuff first, and the small stuff end up being the big stuff.
Big time. And even that whole thing about making your bed, like I'm so messy. I never used to make my bed. And then I read about the importance of it. And it is so true. Just making your bed, it's just one thing you have like checked, off your to-do list. It just makes you feel accomplished, and then it makes you want
Yeah,
to do more. It is
yeah,
actually, it works for me anyway.
yeah. I think it works for a lot of people. Something that comes up here a lot too is just the daily checklist. I think it's super
I,
important.
I love that. Yeah, anything with a routine, I think is so important. Having some type of a routine and structure. Yeah.
Yes, routine structure. It's very important for mental health for sure. Where does that bring you to now? What are your plans for the future?
Well, yeah, moving forward, I mean, I think I'll continue to work. Like, I love teaching, absolutely love teaching high school teenagers so much. So I'll probably continue to teach part time, but I just love also having like my little new business, kind of having that in the health coaching. So I hope to do, like I mentioned earlier, another chaos to calm group coaching program in the next probably month or two. And yeah, I've become a Reiki master and just kind of keep diving more deeply into, I don't know, I continue, we all have our own healing journey, and I don't know that you ever stop healing. So just to continue to work on myself, and yeah, like I said, the meditation, getting my meditation and breathwork certification. I think I might, I don't know, I'll see what happens, but maybe even doing some live meditation and breathwork classes on Zoom or something like that. I could see myself offering something like that, but yeah, I'm not
That'd be really
positive.
cool. I think that would
Yeah,
be really beneficial.
yeah, I'm thinking we'll see. The training is, I think it's 8 weeks, so yeah, I'll see how I feel after that, but that's something that's I'm thinking of anyway.
That's very cool. And how would people, what would be the best way to find you if people would like to
You can find me. I have a Facebook group that I'm not very I barely post anything on, but I do have some information, I believe, about the chaos to calm. It's called Holistic Flick Wellness, Flick spelled Flick. And then I have um the Instagram that I'm on the most would be at Oracle Lightworker. And I do like lots of stuff with Oracle cards and some spiritual stuff on there. But I like to talk a lot about boundaries in my stories. And also, I'm very much into nature therapy, like forest bathing and like being out in nature, because that had a huge impact on my mental health, is like moving my body in nature. And
me
like,
too. Me
have
too.
really,
Yeah.
do you know about forest bathing? Have you heard about it?
No, what is that?
It's like the Japanese are very brilliant people. It's Japanese, it's called Shin, is it Shin? Oh, I should have looked this up before I came. Shin Yoku. Oh, I don't even know the word, but um the Japanese coined the term forest bathing, and they're apparently from evergreen trees. There's like natural chemicals that are released, and they're known to actually have, like, they've done studies and they have an effect on your mental health, and to um, just help reduce anxiety and stress levels. And that's one thing that I realized, like when I was very anxious, I didn't realize that I was spending so much time indoors. And humans are not meant to be indoors. Like, we are meant to be outside in the elements. But
Yeah.
now I forget what the percentage of time we spend indoors. It's really sad. Yeah, I
98%.
think it's something like that.
Yeah.
So I try to, in the last couple of years, it's like I have to, like, a non-negotiable for me is getting outside every day in nature, regardless of the elements, and going for a walk and or a
Wow.
run, mostly a walk. But I
I
go
do
to
the same
bed.
thing
You do the same? Isn't it the
every day.
best? It
Yeah.
is. It's like, it's a game changer. And so many people, I just want to tell them, like, just get out in nature and move your body. Like, you will not regret it. Like, I'm so passionate about it. And usually lately I've been doing it. I get up at like 4:45. I go to bed. I'm like a grandma. I go to bed in the eights, like eight, like last night. my Fitbit said 8:27. I was asleep. I'm like, such a party animal. But I get up. I love to get up early.
Crazy, Mrs.
I
Fuck.
know I'm crazy, but I love to get up early and like walk. And it doesn't matter what the temperature is, or if it's raining, or if it's snowy. It's just you feel so much better. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I found a huge benefit in that too. Like for me, it was like I went through, a hard time like 4 or 5 years ago. That was why I made this podcast. It was like, um, just going out every single day, and then I would always feel a little bit better after.
Totally.
And it didn't matter, like, sometimes I would be there for a half hour, sometimes I'd be for like 3 hours, and I'd always feel better after. And I do it to this day. And there's something empowering, and it's kind of what we've been talking about with taking that time for yourself. And also, like, it doesn't matter, you have to be resilient in our climate. Like, it doesn't, like you said, if it's raining or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just get up, do it. You're going to survive, and you'll feel a lot better after.
So I totally agree. It's been the best thing I think that I've been. Well, I shouldn't say the best. There's so many good things, but it's one of my. I look forward to it every single day, every day. And resilience. Do you ever do cold therapy?
I was into cold showers for a while.
Yeah, I do. I have an infrared sauna, so my nightly routine is sauna and then an ice cold shower afterwards, which is good for building that resilience for the stress response. And so that's part of my nightly routine. But
It feels amazing. I used to do it all the time in the gym. Just go in the sauna and go right to cold shower.
It does feel good. It's sometimes I don't want to do it, and it's just getting over the mental, like just
Yeah.
overcoming. It's again the resistance and overcoming that. And when you overcome it, you build resilience. Anyway, I love that too.
Yeah, it's always hard to convince your mind that I want to get in a cold shower right now.
Yeah, the only way I can do it is if I tried to do it. It's really hard for me to do it if I don't take a sauna. Like just go straight into a cold. I'm better to do it if I have a sauna first. I can be a wimp, but now I'm becoming less of a wimp with the cold now that I do these practices. I'm less of a wimp.
Yeah, you just keep on building the tolerance, building the resilience.
Yep.
So I just want to say thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. It was great.
I'm going to send you some salts from our sponsor. So we have 4 different kinds of sea salts here. This is from the Prince Edward Island Sea Salt Company. So 40% of all proceeds go to mental health programming on PEI.
I love that. That's awesome. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
no problem at all. But everybody go check them out. Go check out the Oracle Lightwork on Instagram. And what was your page called on Facebook again?
Holistic Flick Wellness. And I think if you want to know about my Chaos to Calm program that's coming up in the Oracle Lightworker, there's a link in my bio, and you can access the details about the program. And then there's an application form. And then you should be able to access the same on my Facebook group, even though it hasn't been updated in a while. You should be able to find the information there, or just send me a DM and I'll get back to you if you're interested.
Right. Awesome. Check it out. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Matt. Have a great day.
Woo!